The avoidant has grown comfortable in the predictable rhythm of pursuit and retreat. They withdraw, and someone chases. They create distance, and someone tries to close it. They offer minimal effort, and someone compensates by offering more. This pattern has repeated so many times that the avoidant stops questioning whether it will continue. They assume that no matter how much they pull away, someone will always be there attempting to pull them back. But then something shifts. The energy changes. The pursuit stops. And in one devastating moment, the avoidant realizes that the person they took for granted is no longer trying. This realization does not arrive gently. It crashes through their defenses with the force of undeniable truth. If you finally stop trying and need to understand what's happening in their mind right now, subscribe for psychology that validates your decision and prepares you for what comes next. The silence that cannot be ignored. The avoidant initially interprets the lack of pursuit as temporary. They assume this is just another phase, that the person is giving them space, or perhaps testing boundaries. But as days turn into weeks, with no reaching out, no checking in, no attempts to reconnect, something begins to shift in their perception. The silence is not strategic. It is not designed to provoke a reaction. It is simply the natural result of someone who has exhausted their capacity to keep trying. The avoidant starts to notice the absence in ways they never noticed the presence. There are no more messages to ignore, no more calls to decline, no more efforts to dismiss. The space they once created intentionally is now the space they occupy alone, and it feels different, emptier, more permanent. The avoidant realizes that this person is not playing a game. They are genuinely done. And this realization triggers a panic that the avoidant has spent years insulating themselves against. The fear that they pushed too far, that their pattern finally broke. Someone who once seemed unbreakable, that their assumption of infinite chances was catastrophically wrong. The scramble to reassert relevance. When the avoidant fully comprehends that someone is done trying, their response is rarely mature acceptance. Instead, they often scramble to reassert their relevance in that person's life. They might suddenly reach out after weeks of silence, manufacturing reasons to make contact. They might express concern, curiosity, or manufactured vulnerability designed to provoke a response. This is not genuine desire for reconnection, but rather an ego-driven need to confirm they still matter, that their absence still creates impact, that they retain power in a dynamic they believed they controlled. The avoidant cannot tolerate being the one left behind, because their entire identity is built on being the one who leaves. When someone stops trying, it inverts the power structure the avoidant depends on. They are no longer the prize being pursued. They are the person being left, and this shift is psychologically unbearable. Their reaching out is an attempt to restore the familiar dynamic, to get the person to start trying again so the avoidant can retreat back into comfort. But if the person who is done remains done, if they do not re-engage with the avoidant's sudden interest, the avoidant is forced into a confrontation they cannot escape, the devastating recognition of irreversible loss. The most profound moment comes when the avoidant realizes that this person is not coming back, not because they are angry or hurt, but because they have genuinely moved on. The trying has stopped, not as punishment, but as self-preservation. This person rebuilt their life without the avoidant in it, and that life is now full, stable, and no longer organized around waiting for someone who could not show up. The avoidant recognizes in this moment that they did not just lose a person. They lost someone who genuinely cared, who tried harder and longer than anyone should have, who saw potential in them that they could not see in themselves. And they lost this person not to someone else, not to circumstance, but to their own patterns. The trying stopped because the avoidant made it stop through consistent unavailability, through repeated rejection of efforts, through the slow erosion of hope that eventually reaches zero. This recognition arrives too late to matter. The avoidant finally understands what they had, but only after it is gone. They finally feel the loss, but only after the person has healed enough to no longer care about being felt. The moment the avoidant realizes someone is done trying is the moment they must face the permanent consequence of taking someone for granted, the irreversible loss of someone who was willing to try until they simply could not anymore